There's a lot of content out there about how to manage the avoidant, how to keep the avoidant, how to prevent the avoidant from running away from the relationship, how to avoid triggering the avoidant. While some of this content is good stuff, especially on topics like non-critical communication, I feel statements as opposed to you statements. Those are healthy ways to communicate in a relationship regardless of attachment style. The problem with a lot of this content is it actually requires the partner of the avoidant, you, to sacrifice your wants and needs, to walk on eggshells and enable this person in order to get them to stay. And even then, it is still a high probability that this person will run from the relationship. Especially if you are dealing with a dismissive avoidant or a fearful avoidant that leans dismissive. This is a person that gets triggered by healthy relationship behaviors. Any expectations that you put on them whatsoever are triggering to them. This goes back to this person's childhood. They were emotionally neglected by their parents or caretakers, and their feelings were also routinely dismissed, if not outright rejected and reprimanded. The end result is a person that is now adult that fears emotional closeness because they've learned it's not safe. That emotional closeness equals abandonment. If you rely on someone for your emotional needs, they're going to reject you. They're going to abandon you. Their parents or caretakers put expectations on them as children that they were unable to meet. They were never good enough. So the moment expectations, even the bare minimum, are put on them in the relationship, it feels insurmountable. This is also a person that fears communication because when they communicated about their wants, needs, or any negative feeling as a child, it was rejected. So they bottle it up and they don't communicate to their partner. As long as the avoidant is not working on themselves, there really is no healthy way to manage this person, to keep this person. The way you prolong the relationship is by self-sacrificing. You have to neglect your own wants and needs. You have to not hold any boundaries. And those expectations, your desires, you have to throw them out the window. Even if you're just wanting the bare minimum, like consistent communication or regular time spent together, that can be very triggering for the avoidant because this is a person that gets triggered when the relationship is going well. This is a person that gets triggered by emotional intimacy. This is a person that gets triggered when deep feelings are starting to form. It is virtually impossible to prevent this person from ever getting triggered, no matter how much you tiptoe around them. And when you tiptoe, when you self-sacrifice, when you don't hold boundaries, which are your limits, when you don't have any expectations that you put out there, you're sending yourself a horrible message. You're sending yourself the message that your wants, needs, and feelings don't matter. That this person, their feelings, their wants, their triggers matter more than yours. You're sending yourself the message that it's okay to just cater to somebody else while not getting your needs met. That's the recipe for anxious attachment. Because anxious attachers don't hold boundaries. They self-sacrifice to appease the other person and prevent that person from running away. So all these techniques designed to manage and keep the avoidant are techniques that actually push someone further into anxiousness, and the avoidant is still likely to get triggered and run away anyway. Because severe avoidants have deep insecurities, deep fears, and these are people that struggle with emotional closeness. So if you want a relationship with this person where they don't run away, emotional intimacy, well, that's out the window. And without emotional intimacy, all you have is a surface level relationship. And is that what you really want? Do you really want a partner that never really opens up to you? Now, if the avoidant is self-aware and they are actively working on themselves, which should include therapy with the licensed psychotherapist, sure, this can be a great partner. They absolutely can heal and they can become secure, but they have to want it. all the tiptoeing and the catering and the enabling in the world is not going to fix them. The avoidant has to want it. They have to want to become secure and want it badly enough to do the work and not revert to their old habits when they get triggered. Now, it is not your responsibility to fix somebody. It is your responsibility to make sure that you are taking care of yourself, that your boundaries are not being violated, that you are actually making sure that your wants and needs are being addressed. And it's also your responsibility to put care into the other person too, because yes, their wants and needs do matter. Both people in the relationship matter equally. But the problem is, in order to keep the avoidant that's not working on themselves, one person has to completely self-sacrifice and tiptoe under the hopes that the other person doesn't get triggered and doesn't run away. Of course, communicate in a healthy way, but the thing is, you should be communicating. You should be telling this person what your wants, needs, and expectations are in a non-critical way. But the moment you lay those expectations out there, an unhealed avoidant often runs for the hills. It's just a recipe to prolong an unhealthy relationship, have yourself tied up with somebody who's emotionally unavailable, instead of holding boundaries and learning to become more secure, which would free yourself up because you wouldn't be in a relationship with a person who isn't investing in you the way that you're investing in them. And it would free you to meet an emotionally available person that would invest in you the way that you would invest in them. Make sure that you are not neglecting yourself, because if you're neglecting yourself, you're not doing yourself any favors, and the relationship is still just as unlikely to succeed.